Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan.
Coming up today, we're going to be talking about some trouble at the Mormon church.
Trouble. We weren't going to, but
We weren't.
this is breaking news, people.
We had something else planned.
But breaking news happened.
Yeah.
And when news happens, we, every now and then,
Turn first to TGIA.
jump on it and run with it.
Not really.
No. Sometimes, though.
Every once in a while, we happen to be recording the day after
A thing happens.
something happened that interests us.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about some excommunication nonsense
Some trouble.
at the corporate church.
Yeah.
So,
Bunch of trouble.
all right. Well, Dan, what have you got?
You've heard of the country of Turkey, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I believe you've heard of that
Yeah.
country.
Lovely place.
An Islamic country.
Mm-hmm.
And so lots of Muslims there. Apparently there's an imam, a Muslim prayer leader. I don't know if that's the same thing as an imam. They're calling him an imam.
Okay. Sounds about right.
His name is Ahmet Muhsin Tuzer, and he recently got in trouble. But there has been a decision made by by Turkey's religious authorities getting him out of hot water. He is now free to rock and roll.
Okay.
He started a band.
Whoa.
And they released their first single,
From jail?
Melvaya Gel, which means come to God.
Oh.
It got some hits, and he got in trouble. No imams ever wanted to rock in Turkey before.
Okay.
So they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
So they convened a tribunal
Oh, no.
to see if he could rock. And let me tell you something.
He can.
He can rock.
Wow.
God has allowed.
It's nice when a tribunal declares that you rock.
That you rock.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that they made a qualitative comment on his rocking, but they did give him permission to continue to rock.
Okay.
You can't stop the rock and roll. Wow! He's 43 years old.
Great age for a rock star.
Great age, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clean shaven, interestingly,
Not so great for rock stars.
or for imams, really, in Turkey.
Oh.
You tend to think of those guys as beardy.
Well, see, that's how he's stepping out.
Yeah,
That's how he's like
That's what I'm
separating.
saying. He is a rebel.
If everybody has a beard, not having a beard
Becomes the
is
rebellion.
rebellion, yeah.
In one of the pictures that I've got here, he looks vaguely like Pauly Shore. I'm just gonna say that. It's not pertinent, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay. All right.
So there you go.
Excellent.
God
Dan.
gave rock and roll to you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Peace be upon him.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick around in that part of the world, actually.
Okay.
I mean, not entirely exactly right there, but something that could happen there.
Okay.
Okay. So Pope Francis, he
I've heard of him.
He did that little tour of like the Middle East and whatnot.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if this happened as part of it. I'm pretty sure it did. He met, yeah, of course it did. He met with Patriarch Bartholomew I, who is he's the leader of the Eastern Orthodox Church.
Right.
Right. So they had this little meeting, and afterward they announced that they are planning a gathering in Nicea.
Oh.
In 2025.
Okay.
Yeah. So
there have been famous gatherings in that area before.
Oh, absolutely.
of religious leaders.
Absolutely. In fact, in 325 of the Common Era,
Right.
there was the original Council of Nicea, which is in modern day Iznik, Turkey.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I didn't know it was Turkey either.
I guess I
Until
guess
I read the
it
article.
had never occurred to me to ask where Nicaea was.
Yeah,
It sounds vaguely like it's Latin-y, so I would have put it in maybe in Italy or something.
I never would have thought Italy. I would have thought somewhere over there. I knew it was somewhere over Eastern, something or other. But anyways, this is where the Nicene Creed comes from,
Right?
and this is the.
And
Nicene
it's also
Creed.
what gave us our current version of the Bible.
Right.
The first Nicene Conference is sort of where they decided which biblical. I mean, there were tons of books.
Right.
They consolidated them all, decided which ones were canonical and which ones they just didn't like, and they threw them away and all that stuff.
Right. And the not that wasn't important, but the sort of the critically important thing was this is also where the idea of the Trinity was first settled upon.
Yeah.
Because there was disagreement over the nature of God,
right,
up to that point within Christianity,
uh-huh.
and there still is disagreement as to the nature of God. But this is the bulk of the guys who showed up felt that Jesus was God.
Yes,
which is what leads to the idea of the Trinity. Whereas there were some people there who actually Arius, I'm sorry, he felt that, and his followers felt that they were that God and Jesus are of separate cloth.
Right. So the compromise is that it's both. They are both separate and the same, which is the Trinitarian concept.
Yes, but that's the Trinitarian concept.
Yeah.
What Arius was saying was different than that.
Right. I'm just saying that there
actually wasn't a compromise with Arius.
Well, there was a compromise somewhere because
and
what they came up with doesn't make any sense. What's your favorite Trinity metaphor?
Oh, I don't.
They say it's like the clover,
mm-hmm.
where it's like the three parts that are all part of the same whole. But I prefer it's the different states of matter.
Mm-hmm.
You've got God in gaseous form, God in liquid form, and God in solid form.
Right, but
I think Jesus is the liquid.
But people hated Arius's ideas so much that Santa Claus punched him in the face.
What? Saint Nicholas?
Yeah, Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, punched out Arius rather than listen to his arguments.
Oh, I derailed you.
I was trying to get to something, and you were you kept having your little thing that you wanted to talk about.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
I would take a punch from Santa. I'd feel that I deserved it. I'm sure if Santa wanted to punch me. That's great. So why are they going to Nicaea now? Are they going to change the Bible and the Trinitarian concept and all of those things?
No, they're getting together to have an ecumenical gathering. They want to gather all of Christianity at Nicaea.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Are the Mormons invited?
Well, the Protestants clearly aren't going to go. But I bet you could get all the original sort of what's the right word? Schismatic groups.
You get everybody
the
on
Eastern Orthodox and all the Orthodox and all the Roman groups together.
Sure.
The Byzantine Church with the
Copts might come.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of those original sort of very
the funny hat Christians.
The not post Reformation or Protestant movement.
I'm going to call it the funny hat Christians.
That's the stuff, yeah.
Versus the non-funny hat Christians.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what the Protestant movement really is lacking.
Is hats.
Hats.
Yeah.
They need some. Although, Church of England, you get the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he's got some fun hats.
Yeah.
But he's the only guy.
There are those that like hats. But primarily, it's a safe bet that if they don't have a fancy hat, if they do have a fancy hat,
they're on that side of the thing.
On that side of the thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it's truly just maybe Church of England will show up.
Yeah, maybe
they have fancy hats. They'll feel right at home.
They'll probably send an invitation. Hey, Archbishop Welby, you have the hat. You might as well come.
Show up.
Just show up. Just see what happens.
Yeah.
You've even got that crook, that shepherd's crook. You show right up. You've got all the fun accoutrement.
There you go.
In Baltimore, there was a convening of the Southern Baptists.
In Baltimore.
This is they have their meeting where they all decide what they believe for this next few years, sort of thing. And then they get together again, and then they decide it.
Like they don't make any big decisions at this thing.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Sure. This is the kind of thing where they all like pass resolutions about, well, in this case, there was they passed a resolution about transgendered people.
What?
You will be shocked
Uh-oh.
by this, which their resolution, which was overwhelmingly passed on Tuesday, basically said we don't like them. That's not true. That's not true. What they said was they affirm God's good design, that gender identity is determined by biological sex and not by one's self-perception. Which is
God has done such a good job with these bodies that nothing ever goes wrong.
Nothing goes wrong with bodies.
Nothing ever goes wrong.
Well, I mean, even in that wording, there's the problem of biological sex, because there are intersexed people.
Oh yeah.
There are chromosomally intersexed people.
And that is biological.
That's just if you're an XXY or an XYY or any number of weird, sort of outlier combinations. I don't want to say weird because it's actually very normal.
Right. But you did say weird.
I started to say weird.
These people weird.
I said weird, and then I cut myself off and said outlier, which is probably just as bad. Anyway, unusual combinations.
Unusual, you're going to go with.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about less than 1% of the population, I believe. But it occurs.
You're being very judgmental, Dan.
I believe that I am not. Anyway, but anyway, so yeah, even just in the concept of if you're saying that gender identity is determined by biological sex, then what do you say to when your child shows up hermaphroditic?
Well, something unbiological happened here. This is against nature.
Do they have to choose one or the other in the gender binary? Can they say, I'm a both?
I think, according to the Baptists, yes, you must choose.
You got to choose.
You must choose.
Got to choose.
Well, what's great there is God gave you a choice.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He gave you he didn't know. He didn't know. He's leaving it up to you.
Yeah, he's like, this one could go either way.
Yeah.
It's up to you. I'm going to give you a penis, going to give you a vagina. Sort yourself out.
Go for it.
Have fun with that.
Have a good time.
Anyway, so
unfortunately most parents are like, chop it off.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually heard about a doctor who did that kind of surgery and said that his decision-making process largely boiled down to it's easier to make a hole than a pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think from what I'm hearing,
but he's got a pole.
Yeah, I know, but frequently they're very, very, very small, and so
a pole is a pole.
No, that attacks the father's manliness to have a son or a possible son who has a very tiny penis.
It's a daughter who's she's got a penis.
She's got a huge clit.
I suppose.
I don't know.
I suppose you could go that direction with it.
Well, no. The truth is that
where are the balls in this whole thing?
There are balls, but
where are the balls? That's what I'm asking. I'm not
between. I don't know. I don't know. I'm certainly no expert. I took a gender studies class in college.
Okay.
100 years ago. And from what I recall, there was some talk of I don't remember
the balls.
I don't remember the balls, as we didn't really discuss the balls, but we did discuss.
Nobody ever discusses the balls in this conversation, which is why I wanted to bring it up.
Right.
It's an important question.
They're just God's punching bag at this point. Yeah. So
Everybody says, but the penis ends up being small. Well, what about the balls?
Well, and even the penis argument is not right, because there's no data that show that penis size as an infant has anything to do with penis size as an adult.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, you could have your kid could be hung like a moose, but then when he gets older, it's just like
he grows into it.
Yeah. Just, oh, hey, wait, I was supposed to have a big one. What's happening? Anyway,
should there have been a warning at the beginning of this episode?
Hey,
There's
every episode has that little E. We got the little explicit thing happening. You guys all know. We're not responsible for what comes out of our faces. We don't know. Anyway, none of this means anything, of course, to the Southern Baptists, who just they did condemn the bullying and meanness to transgender people.
Oh,
but in the end, they basically reaffirmed that it's not okay.
Huh. Well, all right, Baptists.
Yeah.
Once again, kind of getting things wrong.
It's shocking.
How do the Baptists consistently do that?
They like the wrong side of history. It's the side that they're comfortable on.
Well, all right. I'm going to keep the discussion of baby penises going.
Oh, good. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, of all of the things that we've just talked about, that's the one that I want to hang on to. So good. Let's keep going.
There is a gas station in Cleveland.
Sure. Boy, when you launch with baby penises and it takes you straight to a gas station.
To a gas station in Cleveland.
Sounds great.
There's going to be some problems. Well, there are those out there who enjoy a good mural. Right?
Yeah.
You got a blank wall.
Sure.
And you need to do something with it, and you want to make a statement.
Get some art.
The owners of the of a Biggie's in Cleveland. I had never heard of Biggie's before, but apparently it must be a thing. The sign looks professional.
Sure.
So there's this gas station, and they've painted a mural that depicts a moil, I guess.
Okay.
The guy who does the circumcision,
right?
In the traditional
a Jewish circumcisionist.
Of newborn,
yes,
newborn babies, boys. And it says Talmudic priests in church, sex with minors permitted. Is what it says.
Whoa!
And it has the moil holding a baby up to his face.
Oh my God!
Okay, and
sucking his penis,
looking very much like he's enjoying it. And there's a very surprised,
oh my God,
expression of the baby's face.
So Frank just showed me the image. Oh my God! It's like one of those like 1940s or 1930s like political cartoons. Where you've got the very stereotypical Jewish. It's so bad.
It's
oh my God.
Really bad.
Oh my God.
And just the whole thing, right? The baby, the guy's
what's amazing
face
to me
between his legs.
is that I also am opposed to grown men sucking on baby penises.
Really? You're opposed to that?
I am.
Dan is.
I'm coming out on the controversial side of not supporting grown men sucking the penises of infants. However, I will say this: I don't believe that what moils do is sexual in any way.
So either. No.
I just think it's disgusting and dangerous for the child.
It's very dangerous for the child.
And so
there have been a number of cases of.
But I don't support circumcision at all
the baby
in any
getting
way.
disease from
right?
the moil.
Yeah, herpes.
Yeah. And there was something else that they got too.
Oh,
right?
Sure. Yeah, you can get any number of things. If your moil,
where the baby died, because herpes isn't going to kill the kid.
I don't know. I don't. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's not good for. It's not. There's nothing that's okay about that practice. I'm just not okay with the circumcision in the first place.
Right.
But I'm certainly not okay with like sucking the blood and making. It's just gross.
It's really gross.
But that mural, boy, I'll bet the surrounding community is really proud of it.
Well,
See how I segued for you?
yeah. The George Washington Carver Elementary School, which is right across the street.
Holy shit! What the fuck? Oh my god!
Yeah, they're not too happy about it. The mayor of Cleveland, Frank Jackson, denounced the mural in a statement saying, "There is no place in Cleveland for this inappropriate image, and I'm urging the owners of this establishment to remove it immediately." If the owners refuse to paint over the mural, Cleveland city government is planning to explore all legal avenues. Because, it isn't just offensive to Jews.
No.
This thing.
That's pretty much...
This one's pretty bad.
And I'm no prude when it comes to how people raise their kids, but I don't think there's a parent out there that would be excited about their kids seeing that image when they're on the playground at recess.
Well, here's the deal. This is really on the Jews.
It's their fault.
If they will just stop doing it, I bet the owner of this gas station, one Mr. A. Bayad, would be willing to
take it down.
To take it down.
I'll bet he wouldn't.
Even if the entire world Judaism, the whole thing said, we're no longer doing this. This is bad. Not that could happen, but
no, it wouldn't happen. But I also think I'd give him maybe a 50-50 shot that he'd take it down. He's obviously just trying to smear the Jews. And when you try to smear the Jews, what you do is you stay, if we've learned anything from Fox News, it's that when you're smearing someone, truth is so much less important than an effective message.
Yeah. Well, he also, he doesn't like Christians either. There's another mural.
Oh no, what's the other mural?
Nothing as bad as this one. It just says the faces of Jesus. And I really couldn't, the article is not really showing that one. You can kind of see it off to the side. There are 3 faces of Jesus that are painted.
The article skips the Jesus bit.
Well, it is on the Jewish Daily Forward.
Oh, okay. Well. So
they're not too concerned about that part. The faces of Jesus. The first line of the graphic reads, "To Jews, he's a bastard who's in hell." It says that something below one of the pictures of Jesus, it says Palestinian born. So he doesn't like Jews and he doesn't like Christians and he doesn't want either of them coming to his biggies.
Yeah. Boy, skip that biggies. You got to go to the biggies on 4th because the biggies over there on George Washington Carver Street, that one's you're not gonna like that biggies.
Peanut Butter Drive.
But they do have the best fried chicken of all of the biggies in that one. I'm just kidding.
Gas station fried chicken can be amazing.
I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. In the South, especially.
Yeah.
Cleveland doesn't really count as the South. Is it Cleveland?
It is Cleveland.
It's near this. It's south adjacent.
I would suspect that you can probably get some good fried chicken in Cleveland.
I'll bet you can. Anyway, that's what a fun way to express yourself through art.
Hey,
I'm going to take us.
Do not censor art.
No. In a museum, I don't know. Never mind. I want you to imagine a Sikh man.
Okay.
A Sikh.
Res, yeah.
A person, a follower of the Sikh faith.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about what he's wearing?
Well, I know he would be wearing a turban.
Mm-hmm.
He would have a ceremonial sword.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
gonna stop you right there.
Okay.
We'll just hang out on that sword for just a moment.
Okay.
Because this story broke right after we recorded our last thing, and I've been giddy wanting to tell this story since.
Oh, okay.
The Golden Temple in India, in Punjab.
Isn't that like the
biggest? Yeah,
right.
It's like one of the big sites that you see when you go to India. I didn't go to Punjab, so I didn't see it.
It's the center of the Sikh religion, right?
Right.
It's their big place.
There was a bit of a do. back in 1984, there was a military army raid ordered by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi that attempted to drive out Sikh separatists in the temple. Anyway, so it is now their what does that make it? Their 20-year anniversary. Wait, doing math.
What year?
84. So
84. It would be their
30th anniversary this year, and so they were trying to figure out who would talk at the anniversary of this horrible event in their history. It broke into a sword fight.
With their little swords?
No, they have big swords.
I thought it was just a little tiny ceremonial thing.
Here, you have to have a sword.
Oh, shut up. They actually have full-on swords?
They have swords, and it broke into a full-on, like, hundreds of people involved sword fight.
Is there video?
There's video. We will post it on the YouTube or on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
There will be a link, but oh my God, sword fight. No, I will say this. I'm trained in stage combat. I know the opposite of sword fighting, which is how to look very, very aggressive without hurting your opponent.
Right.
Stage fighting is the opposite of real fighting.
Right.
Where your primary objective is to safeguard your
right
co-fighter.
I would think that a real sword fight, a sword brawl, would actually be a pretty ugly thing.
They carry swords. That doesn't mean they were trained in sword fighting.
Yeah.
They do not know what the fuck they're doing with these swords. That's what I'm getting to. They're just like hacking at each other. One guy, I think I saw him hacking away, and then he loses his sword and has to like run around like he's Danny Kaye in the court jester.
So like what's the casualty list here? Like
it didn't look like anyone actually got killed.
Yeah, but like maimed.
Maybe.
Surely.
You know what? That wasn't reported. Where I looked on a couple of stories and never saw any actual report of how many up to 12 people were injured. There we go.
So nobody died.
No. They were just like waving swords at each other and like whacking each other, sort of not stabby, but more like hitty.
With not even
swords.
The blade, probably just like the side of the just smacking each other across the head.
I doubt that they're sharp. I doubt that they've sharpened these swords to weapon grade swordness.
Yeah, that's probably true. But still, swinging even a dull sword around, it seems like...
Oh, you could kill somebody with a sword. It doesn't... I mean, it could be pretty dull, and you could still... If you stab someone...
Yeah, jabby's the problem.
You need to get stabby, and they're not stabby. They were just flying. Oh, it's so delightful.
So maybe a few slices.
Yeah. Well...
Some flayed flesh.
You're going to have some bruising... And a little bit of and some minor contusions.
I was in a sword fight and got this terrible bruise.
Look at it. It's purple and green.
There were 200 people fighting with swords, and I got the really bad,
the worst of the bruises.
Worst of the bruises.
Yeah.
Look at this bruise. It's just horrible. A bad bruise can do some serious damage. I'm not saying that it could kill you if it's in the right place.
That's true.
But so I'm not making light of bruises, but I am making light of bruises.
Yeah, I've been stabbed by dulled swords and unskillful opponents on stage.
No. And
it doesn't feel good.
Oh my!
I was made to bleed.
Oh my!
Only a tiny bit though. Oh. No big deal.
But it made the scene more believable, I bet.
No, because then both of us have to have this moment of like, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Okay, we can go on with the play. It actually, like, the worst thing for believability that can happen is something to actually go wrong. So if someone actually gets injured, it's the least believable thing on the stage.
Huh.
You hear stories every now and then of like someone's starter pistol actually, or like someone's blanks getting shot from some projectile actually embedding itself in an actor, and then you hear a reviewer say it was the worst death I've ever seen or whatever, and they were actually shot. I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time.
They
Anyway,
actually died on stage.
real sword fight.
Horrible death.
Huge melee.
Horrible.
There was a real sword fight in the world somewhere. It makes me so happy. You guys got to go onto our Facebook page and look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, I've got another story. This one is in Oklahoma.
Oh.
And this is from so there's this guy running for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes. Scott Esk. He's a Tea Partier. And
The Tea Party is well emboldened right now after their defeat of Eric Cantor.
yeah. So anyways, right now he's a candidate for office.
Right.
Well, last summer, he on Facebook, he got into a little heated discussion about where he advocated the stoning of homosexuals to death. And he said something along the lines of, well, actually, here's the quote. I think we would be totally in the right to do it. And then he goes on to say, he says, that goes against some parts of libertarianism, I realize. And I'm largely libertarian, but ignoring as a nation things that are worthy of death is very remiss.
He's right that does go against some parts of libertarianism. Specifically the libertarian parts of libertarianism. It's so funny. So the guy that beat Eric Cantor last night or whatever, or Tuesday, I don't know when. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Yes.
In the primaries in Virginia.
Yes.
He is apparently what's funny, I was reading about him just because I was curious, and he calls himself, he's Catholic by practice, but he calls himself a Calvinist in theory, if not in practice, because he has this idea, and he's a Tea Party guy too, and he has this idea that there's this Calvinistic idea that no part of your life can be without religion. No part of any of the world is religion free.
Wow. Well, he certainly ran his party that way, or his campaign that way.
Indeed. So, I mean, I think that's what we're looking at when we look at most of these Tea Partiers, is just this sort of this sense that God's supposed to be in all of the things.
Yeah. Anyways, this guy, he's not running for Congress. I'm sorry. He's running for the state's House of Representatives.
Oh, okay.
And the primary is coming up real soon.
Sure.
June 24th. And so he was contacted by a journalist who writes for the Moore Daily. Moore is a town in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he when sort of asked and pressed on the issue, he didn't back down.
Oh, good.
I'm
very pleased with
he said that was done in the Old Testament under a law that came directly from God, and in that time it was totally just. It came directly from God. I have no plans to reinstitute that in Oklahoma law, which I like that.
It's nice of him.
I like to reinstitute it into law.
Right, as though it was part of Oklahoma law,
exactly,
back in the 60s. But
I do have some very huge moral misgivings about those kinds of sins. No kidding. You have misgivings.
Yeah.
You want gay people to die.
Yeah, that's quite a misgiving.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even consider that a misgiving. I would consider that you are clear on your position. You have sorted your idea out.
He said that these sort of things should be decided. Laws punishing gays should be instituted locally, so people can decide for themselves whether they want to live in a particular community based, in part, on how things like this are dealt with. But they've got such nice parks, and the schools are so good.
Yeah.
But there's that whole stoning.
It's tough. It's tough. There's pros and cons. It's like, if you live there, Frank, as a gay man, it's like there's a lot of pros.
There's a lot of pros.
They've got that one bakery that's so good.
Oh,
so good.
So good.
And they've got that, and that new pizza place is great. So, the
No,
schools
I
are
know.
good and everything.
Schools are good. They keep their roads up. It's very clean.
They do want to kill you. They do want to kill you. And I'm putting that solidly in the cons column.
Yeah, but there's so many pros.
I know. It's a tough one. You're just going to have to sort that out for yourself. Every gay person will have to figure that out for his or herself. Oh, boy. Well, if you want to add some pros or cons to our conversation, you can do so. You can write into us our email address. Oh, wait. I'm going to pause. I was taking us out of this segment, but Frank wants to take us back in.
One last thing about Esk. On his website, apparently he was married for 15 years until, quote, frivolous divorce raised its ugly head in the Esk home.
What? His own divorce is frivolous?
Well, he was perfectly fine with it, apparently. His wife...
You mean with his marriage?
Yes.
Yeah. His wife was frivolously wanting to go off and just get a divorce just because he's a total a-hole. And she wanted to stop being married to him. Not a good enough reason, wifey. Not a good enough reason.
The problem is, this is a picture of him.
Oh, yeah.
There's... I think he's got a little gay face.
Yeah. Oh, he's kind of a gingy. He's got that ginger thing going on.
Anyways, all right, let's move on. Let's get back to the other thing.
Yeah. Okay. So to write to us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could leave us a voicemail, 424-666-8442.
Yeah, love it when you do that. Or go to the Facebook page to see Sikh people fighting, which, by the way, I'm going to show you a picture of Sikh people fighting, just so that you have an image in your mind.
He looks downright just angry.
They're mad.
One.
They're mad.
He's like,
I like him.
I'm just gonna.
This guy right here has lost his sword somehow, and is just like
holding onto a brass railing.
He's like, no! I don't have my sword. And they're nice. They're color coded. There's the blue guys versus the yellow guys. I think.
Is that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, definitely check that out. On the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, and the audio here is gonna be from a high school principal speaking at a high school graduation.
A good man.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This passage has come to represent a moral standard to which the United States should always strive. And even though God is reflected in the very fabric of our nation, we are told that it is inappropriate and even illegal to mention God at high school graduations, let alone say a prayer. So while it would not be politically correct for us to have an official prayer this evening, I would like for us to have a moment of silence in honor of tonight's graduates. Thank you. And just in case you're interested, during my moment of silence, I gave thanks to God for these great students, their parents, their teachers, and for this community. Well, I'm not finished. I ask God to protect these students as they go their separate ways into the world. I ask God to avail himself in every possible way. And I ask God to watch over them, to protect them, and to bless them with self-fulfillment, with compassion, inner peace, and personal prosperity. Thank you for indulging the thoughts I had during my moment of silence. And yes, God is still important, and let us not ever forget it.
Oh, he's clever.
He got around it.
He's a clever man.
He got around. He said, we're all going to have a moment of silence. And then he's like, and here's what my prayer sounded like.
Clever.
So clever. He didn't have a prayer. It was the prayer. It was the non-prayer prayer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fancy.
Wow.
That guy.
Yeah, I really like people who they confuse their roles, the roles that they have.
Yes.
He's supposed to be the principal to all the students in that high school.
No. He is the principal to all the students, which is why he needs to make sure that they all know that Christianity is the only important religion, the only true religion.
Yeah.
There are other important religions, but only. Okay. Well, there you go. We had some folks write into us, some correspondence over the week.
Let's hear it.
We got Michael wrote in and said, I would like to ask the two of you for advice given your history with the LDS Church and dealing with family members that are still in the faith. I've been out of the church for about 1.5 years. My family's known about this for 1 year. On the whole, they're fine with it, and we get along with each other, though my mom doesn't want me to call myself an atheist since she believes I would be resigned to a life without meaning. Still, my mom had me promise not to drink any alcohol. To get to the question, how do I talk about the fact that I enjoy alcohol beverages? I believe that telling them would be almost as difficult as coming out as atheist to them, possibly more so. When my dad found out that I was drinking coffee, he treated the matter like I was doing illegal drugs. My mom also likes to tell experience from her childhood of people abusing alcohol. I was wondering if you have any tips on how I could have a civil discussion with them without them calling me an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Actually,
it's tricky. I think my sort of line has become over the years. These are long-term conversations that we have with our family. You can't just beat them over the head with something,
right?
Because it takes a minute. Now, some of our listeners may not know the intensity with which Mormons revile the alcohol, or the coffee thing.
Yeah.
It really does kind of, for a lot of Mormons, turn into this binary of on one side there's the things that are good and wholesome to put in your body, and on the other side there's Satan food. So it's tricky.
Yeah. Well, and the problem, if you grew up in a community that doesn't just eschew alcohol, but that hates it,
right?
And so you've never had any real, interactions with people who imbibe, then your idea of what alcohol is very skewed.
Indeed.
And so a lot of Mormons really think that you have one drink and you're drunk.
And you're an alcoholic.
Right.
You have a problem.
You have a serious problem. You had some alcohol. You have more than one drink a week. My God.
Right. And the thing is, this was my life. In my life growing up here in Salt Lake City, even my non-Mormon friends, it's not like I saw their parents drinking.
Right.
It wasn't, I just was not exposed to drinking.
Right.
I had no model for responsible drinking, which is why a lot of Mormon kids, when they actually come of age to drink and they go off to college and they're alone for the first time, become crazy binge alcoholics.
Yeah.
They can, because they have no model for responsible drinking.
Absolutely.
Michael, I think the place to start in my mind would be there. Sit them down and say, I want to talk about some things, but I'm afraid. I always like to start with your fears. I'm afraid that you'll judge me harshly. I'm afraid that you won't listen to me. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid that you are already prejudiced against me in what I'm about to say. Just whatever, word that your way.
Right.
Don't use my words. But if you enlist them as helpers in this conversation, that can go a long way. And then just say, look, I know that you don't see things like this, but I want to tell you about what the rest of the world does.
Right.
Which is largely just responsible social drinking. And it happens all over the world, and Jesus did it.
Except the Islamic world.
And except the Islamic world. And Joseph Smith did it. And these are...
Brigham Young enjoyed his Valley Tan.
Yeah. All of these people were responsible drinkers, and alcohol is something that can be dangerous. So you're right to be cautious, and I want to assure you that I drink in responsible ways, and I don't drive, and blah 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 blah. But I need you to know that who I am includes this, and I don't want to be inauthentic when I'm with you.
So I'm going to be drunk.
So
when I'm
I
around
am
you.
getting wasted at the family reunion, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
See, I was lucky enough that my brother sort of already forged a lot of these things
Yep.
for me, so that I knew from that, I knew, you know, how our parents had responded
Right.
in the past.
And how was that?
So, he told me that he was enjoying a beer at one of our cousins' wedding receptions, and
obviously a
Mom came around.
non-Mormon cousin, a non-Mormon reception.
We didn't have we
You
had
guys were the
nothing
only-
but
Right, you guys were the only
non-Mormon
Mormons,
cousins.
right?
Yeah, and he went and he sort of like was all apologetic to Mom about it, and she was like, "You're an adult,"
Yeah.
and that was their same reaction with me.
It sounds like Michael's parents might not take that particular tack.
No,
but
and see that's the thing. I knew going into it exactly how they were going to respond, but so does Michael. Michael knows as well.
yeah, exactly. And Michael,
It's
you
just gonna go a little
you also
differently.
need to remind them that you are an adult.
Yeah,
That their opinions are important to you because they're your parents, but they are not the basis upon which you are going to make decisions anymore.
right.
And thank them for raising you well to make smart decisions about your drinking, that you are still going to continue to do.
Yeah.
And for the love of God, don't let your mom not tell you you're not allowed to call yourself an atheist.
No kidding.
I mean that one's more offensive to me than the drinking thing. Sorry. Anyway,
So you're gonna You're gonna live a sad life.
yeah, just
An empty life.
How about have some talks with her about where meaning comes from and where meaning comes from for you,
Right.
and I mean what she's basically asking you to do is not use a word as though that will take the problem away.
But moms will grab onto whatever they can.
They will. It's
I
true.
mean, my mom asked me not to have my name removed
Right.
because she felt that was like if my name was just there on the rolls, maybe we could trick my way into the celestial
Right.
kingdom.
Yeah. There might be a loophole somewhere if your name's still on there.
His name's not on the list. Sorry, he can't come in.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Or conversely, he's been doing all that gay sex thing, but his name's on the list.
On the list.
I don't know how we can not let him in. He's on the list. He's
On the list.
go up to the bouncer at heaven.
Yeah.
I'm on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, says Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Hope you're well. A few weeks / months back, you were talking about the surge of faith-based movies and television shows that we're having. I work in the entertainment industry out in Los Angeles and was for a short time an assistant to a producer. One of the projects in development, as I came to find out, was a television show based on a series of faith-based books. I was listening in on a phone call with another producer about the project and happened to write down some of the choice quotes during their conversation. So we're going to get some quotes. Here we go.
Okay.
Regarding motivation for wanting to do the show. Quote, I believe that I was saved by the grace of Jesus Christ who died on the cross for shit he didn't do. Forgive me, God, for saying shit. The spirit world is way more real than the world we live in now. That is the truth. That is the way of the world. It is either good or it is evil. It is that simple. Our show is about that. In pitching the show, quote, God's going to be in the room with the network executives.
Oh my God.
We'll see how that works out for you. Yeah, God's going to be in the room, but he's going to be speaking Hebrew in that room. Anyway, regarding a Christian music video on YouTube as a potential theme song, quote, even if you're an atheist, the music makes you want to watch the show. And regarding non-Christian viewership, if you make it cool enough, it will cross over. Any religion would be like, that's amazing. Because I know how many episodes of Touched by an Angel I watched.
Or the Father Downing mysteries.
Right, or And,
Although that one wasn't really all that religious. It was just a priest solving mysteries.
which I would probably watch, actually, that.
Well,
but,
yeah.
But if it's just about, like, look at how beautiful Jesus is,
No way. That's dumb.
you're not going to get me to cross over on that.
No.
I might watch it, like, as a drinking game sort of thing. Like, if you make it bad enough, I
Yeah.
will watch it. If
Yeah.
you make it good enough, no, I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
Anyway, thanks, Zach, for sending that in. An anonymous Okie mom has sent in something.
Ah, okay.
Okie meaning from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I realized that when I said it, it sounded a little bit like oak imam. And you're not an oak imam. An imam made of oak. Dear Frank and Dan, or Grank and Fran, I don't know what that was. Dear Frank and Dan, greetings from the ruby red state of Oklahoma. Almost as red as our state of Utah.
I know.
I live in a tiny, quote, dot on the map that is only 6 square blocks, has no stoplight, but has 3 churches.
I believe it.
I recently discovered your podcast and have become a quick fan. I listen every morning on my daily walk. Oh, hooray. And it's so refreshing to hear you guys say out loud all the things that I yell at the TV when I turn on the news. My husband and I are registered independents and atheists, and we are raising a 12-year-old son without religion. It has been pretty simple so far. He is a naturally analytical thinking child and with a keen sense of smelling BS. When he was 4, he figured out on his own that there was no such thing as Santa Claus and flying reindeer. Boy, that caused an uproar in his pre-K class. Then the dominoes quickly began to fall, and there went the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny.
Oh, an entire town, a generation of kids.
Ruined. A few years later, he declared himself an atheist. We are supportive of his natural curiosity and about the world around him, and encourage him to be a free thinker. But now he is in middle school, and it is becoming apparent that he is a silent minority a silent minority of one in his one-room schoolhouse.
Oh my.
He is struggling a bit with how to be true to his beliefs without becoming a target. We always stress to him to be polite and not shame others for their beliefs, even if they are different from our own. Any tips, ideas, or advice on how to raise a non-believing child in a small, religion-soaked community? Well, as both child psychologists and parents ourselves, I think we are uniquely qualified. God, I have nothing for you.
Well, as a former Oklahoman,
Yeah, that's what. The only reason I even chose to read this email was because you might know the lay of the land.
These little towns are like.
Yeah,
They're weird. They're rough places.
yeah.
I mean, the little ones that I'm used to or familiar with, I mean, are way smaller than even like where my parents live. There are places like Holbert, and what was the one that the tornado wiped out? I can't remember.
I think they all have been wiped out by a tornado at one point or another.
I know. But anyways, like I think of like these little tiny towns. They're not places that really thrive on diversity.
No.
or difference.
No, they
opinion,
like
even.
in group people.
Yeah. And so I mean he's already being honest and open about it. Then I think the only thing you can do is just to be is to emphasize the importance of being really respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, to feign not interest, but the fact that there's a conversation going on. These kids, that they can actually have conversations if they want to. That's the only thing I can really think of.
Does that mean he has to let himself be ministered to and witnessed to?
I don't think it would be a bad idea for him to even like. I mean, whoever his friends are, that's the key thing. That's how he gets through the whole thing.
I know.
But like, if he's friends with the kids and they've got, Wednesday night church,
Right.
then if he knows he doesn't believe and you feel comfortable and blah, 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 why not let him participate in like with those kids?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it
just gonna be it's so boring and
but
shitty to have to do it.
It's boring and shitty, but a lot of the things don't have anything. Well, it's always preaching too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's gonna get sucked into some like Hell House church run thing or something.
But why not participate with the things that, like a Hell House, which you can totally just fuck around and have a good time with?
Here's my
Or
plan.
the local Boy Scout troop. Oh, Boy Scouts. No Boy Scouts.
No Boy Scouts.
No Boy Scouts.
Here's my plan. You ready for my plan?
What's your plan?
My plan is he wouldn't even be allowed in the Boy Scouts. He's an atheist. He can't go.
Oh, he'd be better off as a gay kid
Yeah.
these days.
Here's the thing.
Isn't that a twist?
Right? Well, the atheist movement's behind. The gay movement started sooner.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's my idea. Baked goods. You give this kid just a shitload of cookies every day. He goes to school every day with cookies, with cupcakes, with barbecue, with whatever. You give him stuff to give away.
The question here, anonymous mom, is how good of a cook are you?
Right.
How good of a baker are you?
How good?
Because that's
yeah.
what's going to get your kid through.
Cook some shit, and he gives it away every day. He goes to school. He becomes known. All the kids know that they can just go to him for candy, for treats. There's always going to be a treat coming out of this kid.
Yeah.
And then he can just say whatever he needs to say, and hopefully they're just into the treats.
The other thing is
The goodwill. You're buying goodwill.
Yeah.
Find that way.
Yeah. The other thing is he good at football?
Ugh.
If he's
Train the kid up. Train the kid up.
If he's a good football player, he's going to be fine.
If he's
It doesn't matter what he believes or doesn't believe.
It might be too late on that.
It might be too late, but I'm just saying.
Can you
Those little towns.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably not too late for basketball.
teach him to play the Star Spangled Banner on an electric guitar? Everyone will love that. Everyone will love that. And maybe somehow have him open carry a weapon or something.
If he's grown up with these kids, that's also something that I notice about these little towns. If you all grow up together, that's all that really matters in a certain way. Like I
mean,
watch
most
those kids
kids-
who they all had been in because I didn't grow up in the town where I went to high school, and so
You were that
it was,
weirdo Mormon kid.
I was the weirdo Mormon kid who was also an outsider,
right.
and that was the main thing. Although I could have been an outsider if I had been Baptist
Oh, really?
or Assembly of God. Yeah, I could have gone to their shit and
Right.
fit right in.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's
None of this is good
We
advice.
all-
Here's the thing. None of this is good advice.
No, none of that. No, for the love of God, don't take our advice. Jesus Christ. All I was going to say was that, I think most of us had to just sort of keep our heads down and just sort of get through middle school anyway. So
Middle school,
to
for
some
sure,
extent,
yeah.
you got to just keep your head down and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck. Let us know how things turn out.
We would love to hear how things turn out.
Yeah. Try the cookies. Anyway, Johnny wrote in and said, "Hey guys, I just want to share some of my thoughts about a couple of comments made during this episode. I don't know which episode that is. I'm a libertarian to the core, a patriot, and an atheist. I believe in liberty and justice for all, no matter what their color, creed, religion, or lack of. In more rights for all, less restrictions for people. It seems to me that there may be some confusion or mislabeling of what libertarians are. Our forefathers who believed in true freedom, as I'm sure you're aware of, were liberals/libertarians. Just don't want to have that political point of view thrown in with mega conservative countries with horrible groups of people you speak about. Oh, counties with horrible groups of people you speak about. It gives real libertarianism a bad name.
Yeah. The problem in Utah is the kind of libertarians we tend to have.
Well,
So we are used to a certain kind of.
it's not just in Utah. I'm sorry.
We had ESK.
There's so
This guy
many
running for-
quote-unquote libertarian. Now, great. If you've got a good brand of libertarian, that's fine. But you can't pretend like the rest of them don't exist.
Well, the problem is people are going to pick and choose out of ideologies. Period.
Sure.
Unless you're like truly like,
Yeah, and
you have it figured out, and you have whatever it is figured out, and you've
Right.
really studied it, and you've really you've asked yourself all the really tough questions, and you know that you have to put yourself through that in order to use the term. If you're that person, it sounds like you are, then
fine.
Then great. That works for you.
But
there's a lot of nitwits running around.
Yeah, I'm not buying this no true Scotsman thing. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
A lot of libertarians in this country are those extreme conservative Tea Party assholes.
Yeah,
and
who also then who totally on social issues ignore what libertarian thought would actually be on those issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a sticky issue.
It is.
You got there.
Yeah.
We have some voicemails. We need to get through this segment.
Yes, we do.
So let's get right to the voicemails.
Woo!
Hey, Frank and Dan, this is Cody. I live in the Richfield, Utah area, and I was recently wondering, what do you guys do during prayers? Personally, I just stand with respectful silence, but I was curious what your take is on that. Thanks, I appreciate your show.
What to do during prayers?
Yeah,
I mean, ignore them.
I like to just yodel. I like to go out, find a small corner of the room, and just do a nice yodel to myself.
I denounce the prayer.
This prayer is to a false god, and you are all sheep. Sheep, I tell you. And what the fuck are you gonna do? You don't have to close your eyes.
No, I don't bow my head.
Matter of fact,
I
that's
don't
the
close
thing.
my eyes.
Here's the thing. This is the best part. Just look around.
You'll find the other atheists in the room.
You'll find the other atheists in the room, which is great because there's that awkward, like, oh shit, like deer in the headlights moment, and then like, huh? Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, cool. But there's also like, you just get to watch these people in this moment. It's fantastic. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So just let it be a moment of silent reflection on what all these people are doing is all I would do. Yeah, you don't be disruptive. There's just no point to that.
No, not at all.
So just wait. Now, if it comes up, for instance, I will tell this story really quickly.
Oh, okay.
I was in a play, community theater, and I don't like to do community theater because something like this happens every now and then, where someone was like, we were in dress rehearsals, so we were almost ready to perform, and someone said, so when we do the cast prayer, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, cast prayer? What are you talking about? And she was like, well, I mean, everywhere I've worked, we've always done a cast prayer. And I was sort of the ringer. I was sort of the pro actor who was brought in to be part of this thing. I literally just put my foot down. I just went, oh no, we're not having a prayer. You can feel free to pray on your own, but we're not having a cast prayer.
Uh-oh.
And she was like, oh, but it brings the cast together. And I was like, no. Actually, the opposite. It excludes many of the cast members who don't feel comfortable with prayer. So we're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
I just was like solid. I wasn't rude.
Yeah.
I wasn't mean. I was just like, oh no, that's just not going to happen.
If you want to bring the cast together, bring 2 dozen donuts.
Right. If you want to have a moment where we all just sort of do something, I'm annoyed by that, but that's fine. But it's not going to be a prayer.
All right.
The look on her face was wide-eyed and surprised, but it was fine.
Dan.
I didn't hurt. She was. I wasn't mean.
Dan, no, poor thing.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
I am a jerk. I'm such a jerk.
All right. And here's the other voicemail.
Hey, Frank and Dan. My name is Steven from Georgia. I'm a big fan of the show, and while I was listening to episode 113, Judeo-Philia, I realized I was in an unusually good position to comment on the bit about Jason Collins, the gay basketball player with the straight identical twin brother. Not only do I have a twin brother who is gay while I am straight, although we're fraternal twins instead of identical, I'm also a biologist by training. You guys were on the correct path. So-called identical twins are not, in fact, genetically identical. Without giving a lecture on biology, most people carry 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent, but there are places in the DNA where you can actually have as many as 14 copies, so plenty of room for variation. This story actually really resonated with me because I once had a guy try to convince me that I was, at a minimum, a quarter gay because my twin brother was gay. He had a very, very simplistic understanding of recessive and dominant alleles, alternative forms of the same gene. but it was so utterly ludicrous that I was dumbstruck and never forgot the experience. But keep up the great work, guys. I love the show.
Well, all right.
In fairness, you're a quarter gay. I mean, I'm no biologist, but come on, you're a quarter gay. Just get over it.
Clearly.
Why are you trying to hide the quarter of you that's gay? Just let it shine, man.
Which was probably very similar to the argument.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well,
I have a friend who her dad is gay.
That makes her half gay.
And that's what she says.
She says I'm half gay?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cute.
It's cute, but it's meant as a cute thing rather than a biological thing.
Or a actual description
or a suggestion of her sexuality.
Of her sexuality.
Right. No, clearly not.
I'm half gay.
No.
I'm gay on my mother's side. I'm part gay. My mother's mother was gay. So it's like all the people who claim to be, I'm 1/16 Native American and 1/16 gay.
Well, you get gay from your mother's side.
From the mother's
it
side
does
of the
skip
family.
A generation.
Right. It's a tricky one, the gay.
It'll be fun what sort of happens with gay and who's gay and what and all that kind of stuff when it's like broadly universally accepted.
Right.
What wives' tales will sort of evolve around. Oh well, you're not going to go gay because your father was
gay.
I wasn't going to go that way. But
I like that.
Connecting things that aren't even.
Oh, so your grandfather was gay? Oh, you're not going to lose your hair. No, they don't. You don't lose your hair if your grandfather was. If
he might have lost his hair, but you're not.
If your maternal grandfather was gay, it lessens the blow of the anyway. Thank you all for chiming in.
Yes, thank you.
We will. So something happened yesterday. A news story broke. In the
huge story
in the New York Times.
So it's big.
The Times of New York, I like to call it.
It's big.
It's big-ish. 2 Mormon activists have.
What have they done?
Well, okay, so you've got I'll introduce you to them. We've talked about one of them on our show before, Kate Kelly, who is the founder of the Ordained Women movement within the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, and a man named John Delin, Delin. I don't know how he would pronounce that, but he's the creator of an online forum for Mormons called what's it called? Mormon Stories, which is a website that has lots of interviews of Mormons talking about things that can be pretty controversial, talking about questioning their faith, talking about being gay and being in the Mormon Church, which is a big hot button issue right now.
Right.
Both of them are faithful members of the church who just want their church to, in their mind, be better. Evolve. Indeed.
As it will do.
As it has done since its inception. Anyway, they have been they've each received letters saying that they are to be called to disciplinary councils, which is usually in anticipation of being excommunicated from the church.
Absolutely. Depending on how if they went to the thing and they were all,
I'll never do it again.
Yes. Then
they would probably be what's called disfellowshipped.
Exactly.
Which means that they don't get to participate, but then they can stay in the church, and then eventually they could be reinserted.
Right. But if you go in
into
defiant
the matrix
of their authority or if you shut you up,
right,
and you continue and you don't promise them that you're going to change your ways, then you'll be excommunicated.
Right. And that's clearly what will happen with both of these two.
Absolutely.
So this is a big deal in part because what's been going on within the Mormon Church has looked like it's been going in exactly the opposite direction. More openness to conversation. More openness about their history. I mean, you and I have reported on several essays that they've published on their own website about, very controversial topics within the church.
Yeah.
Because people have that new thing, what's it called? The internet, where they can actually read all of this stuff anyway.
Right.
And the church decided finally to address these issues.
Correct.
But it just seemed like the Mormons were actually starting to... They kept talking about this big tent Mormonism, where everybody was really kind of welcome.
Right.
I mean, even gay people are welcome as long as they don't act on it.
I am a Mormon
Right.
things, right?
Right.
Where
These are videos, YouTube videos.
right, and it's like, and there was some on there. It's like, I'm a Mormon and I'm gay was
Right.
one of them, right?
Yeah.
Like they're really trying to show, hey, we welcome gay people.
Right. This is a diversity.
We
this
don't
is
let
a
them
diverse,
be gay, but we welcome them
We've had black people in our church for a while now.
as long as they,
And
just don't act black.
as long as they, well, yeah. I mean, so the church has seemed to be. I mean, like one of their general authorities, a man named Dieter Uchtdorf, gave a talk fairly recently.
He's from Europe,
Yeah, he's Deutsch. So come on.
big tent. there.
But he gave a whole talk about, big tent Mormonism and stuff. Apparently, someone in the higher ups disagrees with that philosophy.
yeah, well, what happened?
Well, I'm just saying that these guys that they're now going to be exed.
Yeah.
It's bringing to mind for a lot of people 1993 September,
Right.
when the so-called September 6, which were sort of intellectual Mormons, historians largely, were all excommunicated for essentially publishing the history that is now on the LDS Church's own website.
Yeah.
They went against the brethren. The brethren asked them not to do it,
See, that was their sin.
and they
The sin
did it.
clearly wasn't what they were saying.
It was what they were saying
No,
because they were asked
Dan.
not to say it.
No. The sin, and this is how a Mormon parses this out.
Right.
The sin was not following. It was the sin of not following the brethren.
Yes.
That was their big mistake. The world, Dan, was not ready for their information, and the brethren knew it. That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so, the brethren, when they ask you to shut up, you better shut up.
You better shut the hell up.
That's basically the most important piece of Mormon doctrine is follow the brethren, follow the prophet.
And also a thing about shut up.
If he tells you to shut up, you shut up.
If we say shut up, you shut up.
I mean, that is the key thing in Mormonism.
Yeah, I mean it's very clear. I mean, but that was starting to seem like it wasn't the thing,
Right. But so here's the deal. I don't like reading comments typically, but this is the kind of thing that's
You
worth
read the
reading some comments.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the Deseret News, and this is the article. These are the comments on the article they ran.
The Deseret News is the newspaper, the local newspaper owned and run by the church.
Absolutely, it is. It's the daily mouthpiece of the church.
Right.
Let's see. So this person says, if you actively protest about key doctrines, then don't be surprised that you are facing church discipline.
Yeah.
Lovely Deseret says, it is about time John Dellin faced church discipline.
Yeah.
Mostly gizzards. No, wait, I don't want to read that one. I know. Where was it? David from Centerville says, some people feel that they can oppose an organization, work against its purposes, and try to influence others to think and act against the organization and remain a member of the organization. Can you imagine behaving in such a way at your employment? What if you volunteered at a food pantry, but while there, you protested the efforts of the pantry, spoke against it, and tried to get others to oppose it? The food pantry wouldn't invite you to return. Those opposed to the LDS Church who actively work against it and try to enlist other members to oppose the church shouldn't feel bad if the church excommunicates them or removes their membership.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I need to be clear about this. Neither of these two were opposed to the church.
No.
They're both believing members. Now, what you'll recall, listeners, that what Miss Kelly did and her organization, Ordained Women, was they peacefully met and they asked to be let into the priesthood, the male priesthood ceremony at General Conference. They've done it twice in a row. They did it peacefully, and they never called it a protest.
Right.
It was a demonstration of sorts, but it was never meant to be a protest. They tried to work with the church. They have continued to try to work with the church. They were never they never considered themselves to be working against the church.
Absolutely. But here's what Granny from St. George has to say.
Good.
Kate Kelly faces possible excommunication or other discipline for openly, repeatedly, and deliberately acting in public opposition to the church and its leaders after having been counseled not to do so. As the article states, all organizations have boundaries. She knows the boundaries and has continually ignored them. Now come the consequences.
Well,
right? So this is
true.
So she goes, the last several paragraphs about how the LDS Church handles matters of this privately are well stated. I hope church detractors will read and reread these paragraphs when they want to condemn the church for whatever actions may have been taken in Ms. Kelly's case. She is responsible for whatever sanctions her stake president and other stake leaders impose.
And the message got through.
Yep.
Good job, Mormon Church.
She is the one responsible.
Well, and I hope that everyone reads this and learns that you are not allowed to say jack shit.
Yeah.
Learn the lesson, people.
Yeah.
No dissent tolerated.
Yep.
It's a remarkable moment in their history. They were going in a different direction. I want to point out, since you mentioned the Deseret News, I want to point out the difference between the coverage of this in the Deseret News versus the more liberal daily paper in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake Tribune.
Right.
Now, the Deseret News has changed their wording. I will tell you what I read last night. I don't have it exactly because it disappeared, but I will explain to you the difference. The Deseret News starts with the phrase, "The leader of a small activist group seeking the ordination of women to the priesthood in the LDS Church is on church probation and now faces a disciplinary hearing." Now, the next paragraph originally started out with something about how she told the New York Times that blah, 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 and she shared a letter with the New York Times. It said New York Times like at least twice, which is an interesting little dog whistle.
Right.
Well,
it's code.
It's code. It's code, which is what a dog whistle is. I shouldn't use that because people may not know what it is. But a dog whistle, in this case, is basically coded messages that only the intended audience will hear as coded message, and everybody else will sort of glaze over, not be able to read it in that way.
Right.
But it's basically telling conservative Mormons, she's a liberal. She didn't handle this quietly. She tattled to the biggest evil publication in the country, essentially.
Right.
Because the right has done a really good job of vilifying the Times.
Right.
Compare and contrast that to what Peggy Fletcher Stack wrote in the Salt Lake Tribune, which doesn't start out with the leader of a small organization,
right,
but starts out with, quote, "Mormon feminist, returned missionary, and temple attending member Kate Kelly cherishes her church, so much so that she desires to play an even bigger role in it."
Mm-hmm. Well, Peggy Fletcher Stack gets it.
She gets it. It's just fascinating. I mean, the spin is in. See how I did that? I did a little rhymey thing there and stuff. Yeah.
It's Salt Lake's a good two-paper town.
It is well, one of them's in trouble, but yes.
One of them's in trouble.
It's a good two-paper. It's one of those towns where the difference between how the coverage is handled, it could not be more clear. It could not be more clear.
Oh God, and the importance of having two papers.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Anyway, so that's what we're dealing with here. We've got a religion that people want to be a part of, but they want it to make sense. These two will be excommunicated, and who knows what that will end up meaning. But I think I don't know, what's the takeaway here?
Well, the takeaway is don't believe anything that the Mormon Church has been trying to spin with their PR. It's
Right.
like the fact that they're moderate or mainstream or
Open.
They're still acting just like they did 20 years ago, and they're going to keep doing
50
it.
years ago.
Yeah.
100 years ago.
Yeah. It's the same church. It's the same organization.
And
rooting that out isn't going to take a couple generations. It's going to take, I don't know how long.
yeah.
So when a Mitt Romney, devout Mormon, runs for president,
Just know.
that he belongs to that kind of organization.
Right.
Right.
Anti-gay, basically, I'm not going to
And
say
the prophet
anti-women, but I'm
yeah.
going to say I'm patriarchal to the nth degree.
Yeah. And when the prophet speaks, every member
Is expected
is expected to listen.
to lie
and
down.
to get in line.
Yep.
Right? And that would include a president of the United States. This is why a Mormon president is an alarming idea to me.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, this is why a religious
Not a John Huntsman Jr., though. I don't say John Huntsman Jr. But John Huntsman Jr. is like that with the Mormon Church.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave us with what John Dalen himself posted on his Facebook page after finding out that he was going to be facing this court martial. What is it called? This church court. This
church court.
disciplinary action.
Yeah.
Anyway,
church court is not inappropriate to call it that.
he posted a quote from Joseph Smith, the founder of the LDS Church, which said, quote, "I did not like the old man being called up for erring in doctrine. It looks too much like the Methodist, and not like the Latter-day Saints. Methodists have creeds which a man must believe or be asked out of their church. I want the liberty of thinking and believing as I please. It feels so good not to be trammeled. It does not prove that a man is not a good man because he errs in doctrine."
But you actually said something that isn't entirely accurate, Dan.
What's that?
That Joseph Smith is the founder of the LDS Church. Joseph Smith is the founder of the Community of Christ.
He's the founder of all of those churches.
But no, to be truly accurate, the reflection, the person that this modern church, LDS Church, reflects is Brigham Young.
His brother Brigham.
Well, but that's how Brigham Young ran Utah. This is all of this stuff, all of this like fall in line or else crap is all Brigham Young.
Sure.
That is not Joseph Smith.
Sure.
Joseph Smith, that kind of inclusive look at the church that followed that.
Right. Well, all
The
I'm
one that
all I'm
actually
saying is
like stayed where he was, and it was actually like a continuation of his family's legacy and so forth.
Sure.
And so on.
All I'm saying is that this church reveres Joseph Smith.
Well, they have to. They don't have anything unless they give it lip service.
Right.
They have to give Joseph Smith lip service, but Joseph Smith causes them so many problems.
As Mr. Dalen pointed out.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please don't hesitate. You can write to us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
Yeah, you can go on the Facebook's page. That's facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And of course, we like to thank Mackenzie for all of her work on the Facebook page. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for their music.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sure appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.